Okay, good evening. We are here at the gallery, with the Jones Gallery, and tonight we got Dane Tilghman, the artist, Trevor Richardson, the collector. Richardson, the collector. So, we're going to talk about Dane, and Dane's going to share with you all his background. And I don't want to sit here and do a lot of talking because you've been around the block.
Yeah, I've been around the block a little bit, 40 years full time now. Seems like I just started yesterday. You know, I started out just as an artist who, as a kid, basically, who liked to draw. You know, my brother, he was a year and a half older than me, and he liked to draw, so of course, they knew what your older brother did. You know, so when he went to kindergarten, I was home and I was drawing. When I got to kindergarten, I started hanging out with other artists, you know, people who could draw something better than me, whether it was dinosaurs or spaceships or whatever. You know, they could draw something. So I just hung around those guys and tried to learn how to draw what they could draw. You know, so it really was just about a love of drawing. I wasn't good at it, but I loved to do it. You know. And then I did that throughout elementary school, went to junior high, and was still drawing. And by the time I got to Conestoga High School, they had an art major program at Conestoga High School, which basically gave me art a half a day every day.
You got to give us some year numbers on this thing.
1975 was when I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah, and I went to Kutztown State College, where I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in Graphic Arts. Okay, now Graphic Arts was something I really did not like. Okay, but my teacher in high school said, if you want to make a living as an artist, you know, Graphic Arts is the way to go. You know, because that persona of the starving artist thing was alive and well at that time.
So when you say graphic artist, it's almost like abstract art?
No, it was advertisement art. Advertising, communication design is what they called it then. You know, so it was on layouts and that sort of stuff. You know, back in the day, this was before computer art, so you had to do everything by hand, and I was terrible at it.
So, we know that you've been around, and you have good name recognition for those who are collectors. So, you know, we want to talk to the audience now because when we had our last show, you asked me, Adrian, can we invite an artist and a collector? And I said, okay, you're on.
It's going to be me.
Since you invited yourself, it made sense.
Yeah.
So, what we're trying to do with these little talks is to try to get folks to start collecting and understand the importance of collecting. And, you know, to give people some background on an artist, if you have a collector who's here, and you say to yourself, I want to get a piece. I want to start building a collection. And I know that you as an artist have had many conversations with people like that.
Absolutely.
And do you think that's what a collector wants to hear?
In terms of what, because you know, collectors collect for various reasons. You know, I always say, buy it because you like it. You know, that's the main reason. Because whatever you pay for it, you're going to forget how much it cost you, and that piece is going to become priceless to you. You come down the steps, and every morning you see that painting, and it makes you smile. You know, it's priceless.
Well, let me talk a little bit about that. I'm a collector. My late husband was an artist and also a major collector. But when I think about collecting art...
Don't leave him out. You got to mention what he used to do, because I think it influenced, it had an influence on your collection, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
What Larry did. Larry Richards, my late husband, was a collector of African American film memorabilia, the largest collection in the country. And subsequently, almost 1,000 pieces, like 989 pieces, went to the Smithsonian's African American Museum of History and Culture. But over the years, Larry, as an artist, just loved being an artist. He was also a library administrator, so he was not doing that starving artist thing. But over the years, he developed a passion for this genre, and so he collected paper, he collected artifacts, he collected music, rare books, all around that. But I say that to say, he was driven as a collector. I learned a lot about collecting, and I kind of say there's 4 tiers. Number 4, you collect because it's an investment. So you want to know the provenance of a piece, you know, how it originated, what kind of, you know, the quality of it, how it's revered in the art world. That would be one reason to collect. Number 3 would be basically to preserve the culture, to preserve the art, to capture the images and the spirit of a time, of a people. Number 2 would be to support the artists. In previous civilizations, art was revered, the artist was revered, the government supported the artists. We have to take responsibility for supporting the artists and the galleries, the people that make their art available. And then number 1, my reason for collecting, as our artist here has said, is because the pure pleasure, the aesthetic of it, how it touches you, speaks to you, you know, decorates, adorns your surroundings. So I think that art is very personal. So some of you may collect as an investment. Some of you may collect because you have a strong sense of preserving the culture. Some of you may collect because you've invested in an art gallery and you want to see it be successful, or you're married to a starving artist. But I just encourage everyone to collect and buy those things that speak to you, that you appreciate.
So let me have an interchange. So you come into the gallery space, the artist is here. Do you think it's important that you as a collector talk to the artist, you get to know the artist before you decide to make a purchase? Because some people sometimes will buy a piece based on eyesight, but you know, I'm nosy, so I want to know some things about the artist. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the artist has to be some kind of name recognition, just that there's some information you can provide for me to show me that this space that you're in, mm-hmm. that it's not something that you're not giving your all to, so to speak.
Right. And more than that, a connection with the artist, and make a connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love talking. So I mean, I'm a salesman, really. You know, I learned the art of selling art when I jumped into it full time because it was a matter of survival.
Okay, so you got your approach. So tell us. So I'm looking to buy a piece. Mm-hmm. So, and you know I'm looking to buy a piece. So, do you feel that as an artist that you need to engage with that collector? Do you step away and let the collector make his own independent decision? You know, because a collector got an eye. So mm-hmm. therefore, you know, the artist don't need to. So, you know, sometimes the artist can interrupt.
Sure.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So
put a foot in on that, you know.
So but you've been in it such a long time, and I'm sure you've seen all the different things.
I've met a lot of people over the years, and I think you're right in terms of there is a connection. You know, if an artist is there, it's important for the artist to talk about his artwork. You know, because it is a relationship. You're not buying per se the artwork, you're buying the whole package. You know, and of course that pays dividends in years to come. You know, like I was talking about, you know, knowing Jacob Lawrence and I met Elizabeth Catlin, I met Romeo Beard and you know, guys like that, you know, over the years. And it was, you know, it made an indelible impression on me.
Oh, so some artists, there's some artists in this room, I didn't call out no names, but your life experiences, you mentioned you met Mayor Beard and like, did that have an impact on you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And do you think it's important that you're talking to a prospective buyer? So, you know, that's worth bragging about. See, a collector, a true collector will understand that you have to in a relationship with one of those premier black artists from that period. That's something that you can sell yourself with that.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not buying again just the artwork. You know, you're buying a relationship.
But people want to buy for value.
Well, okay, that's a plus.
And have you encountered those kinds of collectors who would say, you know, you could tell that he or she is buying for value with the intent to do something later on with the piece?
Well, they never would tell me that's what they're doing, you know. But when you're buying artwork from a young artist, you know, you're going to get it at a good price. Okay, you know, I remember the hungry days, believe me. I felt like I was selling my soul sometimes, you know. When I know I put in 150 hours worth of work and sold a piece, I had a price tag on one piece for $500. We're talking like in the 80s. Okay, this is after like 150 hours. And some guy offered me $200. Offered me $200. This is at the Rittenhouse Square Art Show. Offered me $200, and I was hungry. He could see the hunger. He could see the hunger in my eyes, boy. And I said, $250. He says, sold. You know. And I was like, man, that was painful.
So what can you tell artists? And then we can ask you what you tell collectors if a collector's trying to get a collection together, and you want to assist. Since a certain artist sometimes will say, you know, Beverly, I know you I like this work. I'm going to kind of guide you along and tell you why you like this work, and then you can open your eyes to other pieces. So there are other works, and let me ask you this question. And I always want to ask artists this. Do you feel that your work is recognized now? But you know, you've been around a while, and do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel sometimes like I'm a big fish in a small pond. You know, I would not say I'm internationally recognized.
How do you know that?
You know?
How do you know that?
Well, I just say I don't feel like I've been international. I've sold pieces that have gone overseas and that sort of thing.
Well, these sold pieces overseas, and there's somebody.
Well, somebody may have bought it here and taken it overseas, you know, but I haven't had any international art shows. That's not true. I've done the Art Expo like 3 times, you know, back in the day when it was really, you know, a big deal.
So let me ask you, and I want Beverly to jump in. Beverly has been to art shows, and there was a time when there were some nice art shows in the New York, Philly area back in the day. And the show that I always keep going back to is the fine art show. It used to be at the Puck Building.
Yeah.
You participated in that, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and there you saw some interesting collectors, am I right?
Absolutely, some heavy hitters. Absolutely.
And back then, were they buying the art of people of color?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole show was about black artists, basically. And it was called the National Black Art Show, if I'm not mistaken.
So why haven't you ever wonder why we haven't been able to do something like that here in Philadelphia?
Why haven't we been able to do something like that?
There is a big art market. You agree there's a big art market in this fine county,
Yeah,
right?
I believe it is. You know, I think you need somebody who's going to champion the cause. You know, everything costs money. You know, so you have to have the venue, you have to have the sponsorship, that sort of thing. You know.
And you would say that you've done pretty much kind of all of.
I've done it all, man. I've done it all. You know, and I'm all. You know, there was a point when I was doing like 35 shows a year. That was outdoor arts festivals, traveling all over the country, and well, pretty much East Coast to Midwest and that sort of thing, and down south. And I was doing it pretty much by myself. You know, in the early days, my wife used to come with me till we had my daughter, and then when she became, about kindergarten, so they stayed home, and I was on the road by myself. And you did what you had to do because you were the breadwinner.
For folks who are watching this, there are works behind us, and when towards the end of this discussion, we're going to be able to show you some of Dane's work, but behind it is this piece, and I just want to get you to point and tell us about it, only because it had its presence, and that's why we put it in that space.
Right. This piece here is called Wisdom and Innocence. Okay, it's a piece that's probably about a year and a half old. I work from old black and white photography. This piece actually happens to be maybe about 4 or 5 different photographs that I put together to create this piece. I started with the old man, the grandfather, and the grandson, that photograph.
You put a lot of that in your work. Okay, is there a reason for that?
What? The people? Or?
The people, the old man is...
Man, I love African American history. I call this stuff the Everyday Man series. Okay, I love looking at black and white photography. I probably have over 200 photographic books, black and white photographic books in my house. I've been collecting for the past 40 years. And I may buy a book simply because there's one photograph in there that's just talking to me. I got to have that book. And so when I was growing up, I heard a lot of stories. My dad and my mom used to talk about their brothers and sisters and my aunts and uncles and how they grew up, and all that stuff kind of got deep within me, talked about my grandmother and how she was, and all of that sort of thing. All this stuff is very important to me. So when I'm painting these pictures here, I feel like I need to honor the person in the photograph. I don't know them from a can of peas, but the thing is, they were special. They were important to somebody. They were everyday man people. They worked hard. They were, a mother. They were important to somebody.
Let me jump in here, and Adrian, I want to kind of speak to the question you rose a few minutes ago. What would a collector want to hear from the artist when the artist was attempting to make their piece more interesting, certainly more available for them to purchase? That's exactly what a collector wants to hear. The collector wants to hear, number 2, your process. I photographs and I go through these books, and I may be attracted to one that just kind of summarizes all my, and then number 1, what it meant to you and what you're trying to express and why you're trying to express it and share it, where that's coming from. That's what I, as a collector, because my number 1 reason is because something appeals to me and touches me aesthetically, and also on some deeper level, and that's the deeper level where you share not just the process but what it means to you. This, just speaks volumes the way you described it. I get it. I get it more from hearing what it means to you and where it comes from than I get from just having it appeal to me because there's beautiful black people and I love nature, and that Coca-Cola is from back in the 20s, 30s when my husband collected all that stuff.
Right.
So, it's just a myriad of things, but that's what a collector in my position wants to hear.
Right.
What it means to you and what it's about, how it evolved. In your process. There's always an exchange of money at the end of the day. It's important to us. We want to survive. But what I'm giving to you is so much more valuable than the money that I'm receiving. We know the economics as it is. The dollar is, going down, down, down. You're buying a commodity here. Artwork is a commodity. It's something that will always appreciate in value, if you ever decide to sell it, so you can, you can put a price tag on it, say somebody is
doing an estimate, of what the value of this particular piece is. I've had, people call me and says, what do you think this piece is worth now? The insurance for insurance purposes, and I'll give them a price, and that sort of thing. It's always going to be a lot more than what I sold it for, Because there's the emotional connection. I've had paintings that I've painted that I would not sell, but I gave them away to certain people, like to my father, and then when he passed, I got that piece back, and I held on to that piece until somebody gave me a price that I was willing to sell it at,
And hopefully you told them the story. That
Probably
was something
did,
that
probably
you
did.
couldn't part with, so you gave it to your beloved father, and then
Yeah.
because all of that adds to the value of it.
Absolutely. So the money is, the money is the money. We need the money. It's a tool. But when you're buying artwork, you're buying that artist. You're buying his history. You're buying his emotions. You're buying his feelings.
Creativity.
The creativity. The inspiration. All of that stuff.
So you put a value on your piece. And what always interests me as a collector would be, I would ask the artist how much time and effort has gone into a piece. And that's an important question. And sometimes I don't say necessarily say, well, it's going to be reflective of the price.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know how much time. Because the price is something you can always get to.
Right. Right.
And I'm just like, that's like a little antidote for people who want to collect.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you would approach a person and a piece. So.
Yeah. But you're not buying by the hour though,
No, but some artists, look, we know,
Mm-hmm.
there's some stuff out here that is, look, I've been collecting for a long time. I think I can use these words. That there's stuff out here that's junk. There's some art that it is.
Right.
And I think everybody in the room will admit to that. But you gotta be true to the art.
That's an interesting way that you put that because, it's sort of like the king's new clothes thing. The king's naked, but nobody wants to tell the king that he is naked, and everybody around is like, oh, yeah, he's got a great set of clothes on. Everybody knows the king's naked. That's the way it is sometimes with a piece of artwork. I could, name some names that are, guys are getting millions, but I'm not impressed with the artwork. But, how do you tell somebody that this work is masterful and I don't, I'm not saying it.
That's an interesting question. That week since we're talking, I'm asking some questions because of my own bias. But what you just said was interesting. Value is subjective.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Very
Is it too subjective?
Sometimes.
So, like this piece behind me.
Mm-hmm.
See, there are those who would say it could go for this price or that price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Follow what I'm saying?
Sure.
And is it based on market? So, for example, if this piece is in New York,
Mm-hmm.
you could sell this piece for more than what you could sell it for. So what I'm getting at is, when you're in this business that you're in,
Yep.
you got to know where to go and what you can sell.
Yeah.
And I'm as a gallery, I feel that every day because my whole thing is, it's nice to have all these people in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want people to buy. That's
Yes.
That's for the gallery or the one. And
Right.
it's the artist. So
Sure.
talk to us about the interaction between you as an artist and galleries that you've had over the years.
Wow.
I just think you need to do this because you've been
That's
in the game for a long time.
Yeah. I've seen them come and go. Every artist who's here is around my age. My good friend over here, Jose Suborn, we've seen them come and go. And in the early days, and we'll just say, there was this time called the golden age of black art. Okay, that's
So when do you think that was going on?
That, for me, was the late 80s throughout the 90s when Bill Cosby was putting artwork on his show, that opened up a whole new possibility for us as artists.
Correct.
Okay, and then we had the reproductions. We were moving paper like, by the pound back then. You had the ABC shows, you had the Art Expo, you had all other kinds of shows that were going on, and artwork, black art was king, back then. So where am I going with this? There also were artists that, came and went too, along with the galleries, So us who are still here, we paid our dues, so we know that we have a certain price that we're asking, and we're very comfortable with that price. Now, here's the thing. Say if I'm doing gallery shows, I had a gallery in Lewis, Delaware that I just ended a relationship with because my prices kept going up. I was not comfortable with keeping my prices at a certain level, because the patrons were only willing to spend so much, So I had to make a choice. Like, okay, I got to take these prices up because it feels right to me. And I know somebody out there is going to buy this artwork. It might not happen here at this gallery.
That's true.
So
you've always had that philosophy.
Yeah, I've always had that philosophy, But in the early days, I used to have art agents used to come to us as artists, young artists, and would say, "No, you're the artist. I'm the business person." I'm like, whatever. We're out here hustling, trying to make a living. We're surviving, and I cannot wait for you to sell my artwork to eat. I got to get out there and make something happen. And none of those people who were agents are around anymore. They're gone too.
So what would you tell? Let's give people some information. Speaking to this artist in here, and I say artists always need to learn something from other artists.
Sure.
When you guys collaborate, and do you think that the relationships that you built over the years has helped you as an artist in this area? What I'm getting at is, there's people in this room that's been collecting a long time. I think they recognize and agree with this statement. There's some artists from Philly that been around as long as you, they really haven't got there too. People say to me, well, they got talent first before people start taking seriously. Now, I'm not mention the person who told me that, but people say you got to die first. And that to me, that doesn't make any sense. So do you as an artist feel that you've gotten people in this area to know you, understand you, and want to buy your work?
Yes, definitely. But I definitely know there are art collectors out there waiting for me to drop dead. I always tell my death will be 3 times a year. Just get the prices up. But you're going to have people who are motivated by a lot of different things. And I'm not in control of that. Why they're going to buy my artwork. If I get a no over here, I'm going to say thank you very much and go over here and talk to this person. I don't need to know why you said no, but I'm going to go over here and talk to them because I got bills to pay. And that's what it's all about. It's always been a numbers game. I was talking to
numbers game for you. See, that's a difference. Certain artists. So you figured out this is how you want to do it as an artist.
Yeah.
So this is a numbers game. So it's a matter of producing more work.
Yes.
And going to all these venues
It's number of paintings, the number of art shows you're going to do, the venues in terms of the number of people that are coming to those shows. I was saying to my friend here, Glenn, right? Chet, fellow artist. And I was saying, if I'm doing 30 shows a year, 10 of those shows are going to be awesome. 10 of them are going to be absolutely terrible. And 10 of them are going to be fair. It's just a numbers game. But if you're only doing like 5 festivals or 5 shows a year, you're going to starve, most likely. You better have a real job, we'll put it that way. You better have a real job. And I've known a lot of artists who could paint circles around me, but they still have their job, you know, because they weren't willing to come out of that comfort zone.
So you came out how long ago?
40 years ago, after 26 different jobs. You know, in my last job, I almost got hit by the R5 Paoli local. And that was really the motivation that said, I think I'm going to be a full-time artist.
So, but your style is, you know,
Recognizable.
very recognizable. And like the piece this piece here was interesting to me. I'm going to bring this up. Yes. Now,
Yeah.
see, now some folks will, when they look to buy a piece of artwork, they say to themselves, you know, I don't know how I'm going to put it, but I want it.
Right.
I don't know if it's the right color, but I like what's in it.
Yeah.
So, do you get those kind of questions from
All the time.
collectors?
All the time. And especially that one, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I want it. I remember in the early days.
Good.
That's that. You know, I'll come and hang it on the wall if that's what it takes. You know. And but I've known people who had so much artwork. You know, collectors. They had like 30 to 40 pieces in the bathroom just stacked on the floor because they had no other place to put the artwork. You know, that's an obsession.
So you been around folks like that?
Oh, absolutely. People get passionate.
Those are serious collectors. Those are
Serious collectors. I mean, it's an obsession, you know, really. You know, what do people do with money? That's the question. You know, money is it's a tool, again.
but you're telling folks in this room and the listening audience is that, you know, take your money and buy art.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, you can't, you know, obviously people are passionate about a lot of things. You know, I'm an Eagles fan, you know, so.
But art should be part of the equation.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, people are, again, I can't make somebody passionate about art.
Well, let me ask you this question. So I'm new. I want to buy a piece. I kind of gravitated towards this blue piece. So what are you telling me? I'm saying to you, Mr. Tilghman, what was the motivation behind this piece?
Well, again, started with a black and white photograph like all my paintings do.
It has a name.
Boy in blue hat. Sometimes I keep it really simple. That's one thing, you know, after you painted over 9,000 paintings, you know, in 40 years, I probably have about 4 or 5 boy in blue hats out there somewhere, you know. I can't, I'm running out of names. That's the bottom line, you know.
So how many paintings have you painted over the years?
Over 9,000. Yeah.
So,
I was a machine for a while there, you know.
So how many? 9,000?
Over 9,000, yeah.
And I'm hoping that you got some of that 9,000 is gone.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of it is gone.
That's
you know.
successful. That's a successful state to say that you've had that many pieces of work,
Mhm.
and that I no longer have that many, or I'll have a half of that or a third of that left. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Well, you know what, I look at it like this. I paid my bills. I put the kids through college. House was paid off. You know, paid the insurance. You know, that's how I look at it as a father, as a husband. You know, this is something that helps us live. You know, I came from a workaholic family. You know, we worked, the dog worked, everybody worked over there. You know,
So that's a good message you just gave. For those artists that are out there, that's a great message that you just delivered. You just said what you just said.
yeah.
That's commendable.
And you know, I think, you know, what I'm doing is not unusual for most artists, you know, especially fathers who are artists. You know, we do what we got to do because we're dads, you know. I remember having a conversation with Dr. Josephine English. She had the Paul Robeson Theater in Brooklyn. She was a friend with this Dorsey's Fine Art. Fred Dorsey had a framing store, and she said, you know, you got to go meet Fred Dorsey. And I was young at the time, probably in my late 20s or early 30s. And so I took a trip over to meet Mr. Dorsey. And he knew all the WPA artists, the Harlem Renaissance artists. And I asked him a simple question: how did they survive? And he said it was the lawyers and the doctors and the professionals that supported those guys. You had the Harmon Foundation, which did shows for them like once a year, and whoever won the show got a trip to Paris, like 2 months, to study under the masters in Paris and everything like that, But the other guys had jobs, maintenance jobs and whatnot.
So do you believe this? I've heard from people in the business that the black art is hot.
Now it is, yeah.
That there's the market out there allows for black art to be bought by all nationalities now.
Absolutely.
So you've had that over the years, correct?
Yeah, I've had some slow times.
No, I'm talking about
What?
the intermixing of collectors who buy your work.
Oh, absolutely. Black and white.
So some people think that, well, do you ever think that, well, if my work is not being bought over a cross section of people, that I haven't really been the type of artist that can showcase my work to the general population? You ever think like that?
Well, when I put my salesman hat on, I'm out there to schmooze. Sometimes I think I'm running for office or something, shaking hands and kissing babies, You do what you got to do, to build relationships. One of the things I always say is, make a friend, make a sale.
All right, so let's talk about settings.
Mm-hmm.
So different settings depends on how you interact with the crowd that you're in. Would you agree with that?
For me,
Or you say
I'm the same way all the time. Whether it's a gallery show, whether it's an outdoor arts festival, whether it's a blues festival, fine arts festival, I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to get you in my booth. I'm going to create a relationship in a hurry. Because now that I got you as a friend, you almost feel obligated to buy something.
So better, would that work on you? So if you sit there and listen and say what he just said, that he's going to sit there and talk to you and get you to start thinking that you should buy it, would that be something that you would get you to buy a piece of his work, or from an artist?
Well, as I said, that's part of my agenda anyway, is to find out about the artist, who he is, what he's about, what moves him, what was the inspiration. So for me, that would be doing what I think would be his job, his responsibility, because behind that is, as Dane just shared, being an artist who makes a living at his art is a major leap of faith and commitment.
That's correct.
And so you have to appreciate and recognize that when that is the full-time job, that is a major commitment. And it is our responsibility as society to support our artists. That's part of our culture. It's part of what makes us civilized and uplift us. So yes, that would be fine. I would not feel that I would be insulted if he were to form a relationship, because that would be my MO as well. Mm-hmm. To form a relationship, to make a connection. At the same time, for you not to open up, for you to be cold, closed, not forthcoming would be a turn off for me. And I would view the piece that I may have initially have been attracted to differently, mm-hmm. because there was no warmth or no importance behind the piece.
Absolutely. Because it's an experience. It's a full experience. You bought the piece of artwork, but you're going to remember the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And be able to share that experience with people when they look at your artwork, when they come in and they see this piece. I always tell people about pieces in my house, whether it's a poster from the 1920s or a painting that I acquired last month from the Moody Jones Gallery. You know, I like to be able to talk about what attracted me to it, what I know about the artist, how the colors not only just go with my environment, but how they make me feel. It's an expression of it, et cetera, et cetera. So, absolutely.
Do you as an artist paint would say to myself, okay, would somebody want this in their house? Do you?
A commission?
No, you paint. Do you say to yourself, okay, all right, when this is done, does somebody want this thing? Is that right?
No.
That's a good question.
You don't say that.
Well, sometimes I say, who would buy this, you know?
And you do it anyway. You keep painting it anyway.
Oh, yeah, you know, some of these paintings that I've painted have 3 or 4 paintings underneath them, you know, because it just didn't work, you know, and that's okay too. I always tell young artists that too, because they want to keep everything, you know. It's like, you know, after a while you're like, paint over that thing, you know, get it out of your mind. If it wasn't working, get rid of it, paint right over it and start, you know, clear your head and your mind, your emotions, and start painting again.
So you didn't answer my question, though. My question is, when you finish the painting, do you say to yourself, I wonder if Jose would want that piece in his house?
No.
So do you think that so are you painting because you want to keep the piece, or are you painting because you want to sell the piece? That's another thing.
I definitely want to sell the piece.
But as an artist, when you get finished, you see yourself, will somebody buy this piece? That's like, you know, do you ever have those kinds of thoughts? Like,
I'm sure I do.
The piece behind it.
Yeah.
This one here, this is the young man was, I guess, represents.
Or the endangered species. So do I ask, you know, will somebody buy this piece?
When you did this, after it was over with, what did you say to yourself? Will somebody buy this?
No, probably not. I'd probably just move right on to the next painting. You know, for me, I love the process of creating. You know, I'll worry about, you know, how I'm going to sell it or where it's going to sell. And there have been so many times where I've done shows and I'm gathering the artwork for the show, okay? And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be it. People are going to love this piece. And then that little voice says, get that one over there. You know, and it always happens. That's the one that ends up selling. And I was going to leave it home, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'll take that too. You know, that happens so many times. So many times.
So, I mean, you know, this is a very encouraging discussion because of your lifelong pursuit of your art. And it's sending a great message that people, you know, you could bow down and do that. You know, so, I mean, that's commendable, very commendable. So what I want to do is, if we have some time, I want to throw out some audience participation questions, because I think you heard us talk enough.
Yeah.
And we can keep talking, but I think others should become part of the conversation. So, questions?
Well, I'd like to speak on your artist / collector / gallery owner focus that you've had here. I don't consider myself a collector, but I do own 3 pieces of art by someone whom I know very, very well. So that whole thing of getting to know somebody and understanding where they're coming from, I totally agree with. But in addition to that, I'm looking at this piece right here of the woman sitting on the steps on the stoop. And I'm looking at that, and it is telling me a story. It is telling me a story about that woman, about the heat, about the hat that she has on that's shading her face, about the work that she may be doing with her hands. But in addition to that, it speaks to me personally as I see her with an apron on. My grandmother always wore an apron. It has that intimate connection to me. My grandmother always wore an apron and all the things that she did with that. And I also look at that and remember my mom, who always made aprons and gave them as gifts. And now I own those aprons as she has gone, mom has gone, grandmother has gone. So that, if I were to be a collector, in addition to knowing somebody well, the story that the particular art piece is telling me is what's going to grab me and want me to purchase a piece.
That's, I paint artwork obviously for myself because it makes me feel good, but I'm looking at whoever's going to buy it. Does this piece serve you?
Then you get to my earlier question. So there you go. So that piece is serving her because she's connecting with it.
Yeah.
So when you paint, are you to have that connection? She just talking about that connection with the piece, which is what collectors.
Yeah.
The collector has a connection. The collector has a connection, and she has a connection with that piece.
Right. I think that question for me is like putting the cart before the horse. First of all, it's got to serve me. When I'm painting that piece, I'm engaged in that piece, and it's like a relationship. Like I don't know, what's a good word to put it? Like an affair. I'm having an affair with this painting, and then when it's done, I got to go have another affair because I'm enthralled with this piece, and I'm loving every moment that it needs, the present moment experience of creating, and then I want to do it again. It's like a drug. So the piece, I end up with a piece, but it's the vehicle that got me there. It's the passion that got me there, and that's the thing that keeps me there. So the piece is done. Next.
Yeah, question. You do beautiful work, and you talk a lot about making sure that you sell enough, you can earn a living, and you've done a fine job with that too. Do you ever give any thought to your legacy, or how that's going to look?
Yeah.
Or you just sell it and let that take care of itself?
Well, believe me, I give a lot of thought to the legacy. I've had conversations with artists like Curly Holt. I asked him the same thing. What are you going to do with all that artwork? Do you have an institution that you're going to donate it to? I knew one artist, Walter Edmonds. You remember Walter Edmonds?
I remember Walter.
He died. He had no relatives, as far as I know. And people just came in and snatched his artwork right out of his house. And I don't want to leave my artwork to my kids, so obviously I will, but that's a job. Now they got to figure out, what we going to do with all this stuff. I got over 500 paintings sitting in my house right now.
So it sounds like some planning.
Yeah, I got a plan. Really,
So let me ask you. There are people. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not someone who doesn't have that kind of issue, because I understand that having all that work and trying to get rid of it is a tall task. So from a legacy point of view, do you want your children, for example, and I'm saying this, it applies to artists like yourself, and it applies to collectors. Isn't it important that we can chime in on this to think like that? And this question is the proper question because he sees the value of the art and the value of passing that art down or creating a mechanism for it to be It's a pleasure for you too.
Oh.
But you got 500 pieces of work. So you got to figure something out.
I gotta figure something out.
Yeah, but it is something to think about. In my situation, my husband was young and healthy and died suddenly at 58 years old and had over 2,000 pieces of memorabilia, from artifacts to movie posters to 600 photographs to rare books, and it just went on and on and on. And the thought was overwhelming. What do you do with over 2,000 pieces? And that was my first thought, was to call the Smithsonian, because I knew the value of it. But that's something to start thinking about. Where's your vision of where you want your work to be? And mine was about my late husband's vision was very lofty, because he knew the value of his collection and the provenance and all of the research and whatever that went into it. So the Smithsonian was like the most lofty, vision, and it came to fruition. But it is something that you do have to plan for, and it takes a lot of work. It was a massive 4-year process of having the collection appraised. Took over a year and a half to have each piece touched and photographed and researched and so forth. So you think about your 500 pieces now, which may be less or more in 100 years when you do finally, leave the planet. All of that needs to start being cataloged as you have these pieces. You need to name them and put a value on them and the date that it's interesting how records and record keeping is really important.
Yeah. And it's also important to connect with people who also have that same passion and get to work out, like my friend Keith Scrivens over here.
There's a few people in this room that understand the nature of the business.
Yeah, I mean...
out of respect for you, they turned out, which is commendable, because, we got to give you your what's the word they say? Your flowers. No, we'll give you your flowers. Because you have been at this thing and been successful with it. And it's just encouraging as a person who's been in this collecting as long as I have. I know all the stories. I met all the artists. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm glad that you've had that journey. It's important.
It's important, it's God's grace. I mean, that's the bottom line. I have to give, respect and do where due deserves,
That's right.
The gift came from Him. My job is to use this gift, and He'll make things happen.
Dane, when you talk, and Adrian, when you talk about Dane's journey and you talk about it has been a journey, one of the things that you could do was to start a compilation of a coffee table kind of book, where you start to photograph some of your pieces and catalog them based on the time, the period, the phase, what was going on in your life, and what that journey was about, and so that people have kind of like a history or background. And it's something you could start now, and it can go on and
That would be a nice book.
I've been talking.
You ever did a book?
No, but I've been talking with a writer for years. We keep saying we're going to get around to it. If I need to step out and do it myself.
Because listen, I always want to give props. I mean, there's yourself, R.L. Washington, James Atkins, Jose Seaborn. Let me start forgetting his name.
Chet, one of these days.
Let me say, a lot of you guys have been around for a while. I've met and known you guys for years. And I'm glad to see that you guys are still pursuing your passion. And I just get pissed off because I know your work is probably working this, and your work matches up with people all around this country. And Philadelphia seems like, do you think Philadelphia is down to Hot City sometimes? Because of all the talent?
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that way,
I got good questions.
Yeah, you got great questions. That's a thing that you don't want to do, is make these comparisons, this artist versus that artist. It's a hard thing not to do. Especially when you see, social media, there's superstars out there and you're not one of them, But at the same time, you have to pull back and keep it in perspective. It's like, I'm still doing my work after 40 years. You know, it's not about comparing myself, you know, to that guy over there. You know, it's about creating my next painting. You know, what gets me up in the morning. You know, what keeps me up late at night.
So what I want to do, before we end the show, I wanted to kind of have us stand up, and I want the pointers to view the pieces, and these pieces are for sale. So, you know, they are, and if anyone is interested, just what do you call that? Message?
Comment? Yeah, you can send a
Comment or
comment.
message to gallery. So, but before we stand up, I just wanted to say this. Okay? I like this idea of these collectors, the Thursday collectors, because it's good to let people know about artists, about how collectors think, you know, and you know, so we're going to keep doing this. And I appreciate you, Dane, for agreeing to use the word co-host.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Because you're the featured artist, and I like the fact that you've been in this game for 45 years. I tell you,
Still going strong.
you know what? That's an accolade. So we're going to stand up so we can give you a shot at the work. Bring these chairs over here to me. Thank you. So, before you, that piece of paper is for is not part of the problem. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces here of Dane's work. They're all for sale. If anybody's interested, just message us, and hopefully you'll be interested in buying one.
Daisy, do you have a sheet with the prices for people?
We can tell them the price for those who may be interested. Prices are easily told. Well, that ends our session. Well, you can leave it on for just a little while longer so people can actually see it.
I can tell you that the prices range from like $2,600 on up, probably going to $15,000 area.
And that represents 45 years of this passion. So when people will say, there's some collectors out there, or people who want to buy art, that will say, well, you know, that's too expensive. Not realizing that you gotta get that word out your head. You gotta get that word out your head, because that will prevent you from being able to buy the original works of art of the quality of this Mr. Cameron. So that's what it's all about.
So I just want to say thank you for all the participants, for all you guys coming out here tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully, Adrian will definitely be doing this again. We certainly have a number of top caliber artists right here in Philadelphia who deserve to have their work, you know, showcased on a national stage. And I definitely am about championing the cause of us fellow artists. So thanks again for coming in. Thank
Don't put the air